Hello, I am Mr. Browning, 11th grade English teacher. Life is about stories, many stories, one after the other. I want to tell you one of mine about COVID-19 and its consequences in my life. No, not with many words, full of imagery or metaphors. Rather, my story flows from carved wood, shaped wire, and sculpted words. In March, I knew COVID-19 was causing me to feel and react deeply, but I could not express them with sentences and paragraphs or even shared moments with loved ones. Not yet, at least. I had instead a thought, a shape formed with wood. That construct was not symmetrical or practical. Instead, my thought, much like my emotions, was misshapen, yet strangely smoothed, curved into impossible angles and planes. At the same time, a string of impactful words swirled inside my head and together with the figure stole my sleep. How can I seize upon these thoughts and visions, I asked myself. I captured on paper the words twirling around in my conscious mind, raw and untended. Whew! Now I can focus on the shape. I found a random 1x4 scrap of pine in my workshop and started my journey. I first used a coping saw to lop off the extra wood from the edges, and then I drilled numerous holes to make the opening in the middle, all made more difficult by my lack of vise to hold it secure. How do I get that vision out of my head and carved into the rough-cut block? I asked myself over and over. Time to start carving. Every time I get out my wood carving tools, I miss my dad. He was the one who got me into carving, and many of my knives and gouges were his. I wish I could show him. So my journey of creation took me many hours of shaping and thinking, cutting and gouging to make curved, unreasonable twists, melding from one plane to the next. I wanted smooth, sanded perfection in this shapeless chaos. So I ground piece after piece of various grit sandpaper over each surface. Finally, close to my imagined conception, I sealed it with the walnut oil and watched the dark grain bands pop in contrast. I realized then that sculpture, for that is what it had become, needed to be mounted or displayed in some way. I have in the past used some old chain link fencing wire in other sculptures, so I set my mind to using that. Eventually, this took on a sinuous spiral design, which I spray painted a glossy dark gray. Finally, I could move on, for the vision in my head now rested on its wire stand. I was then able to refocus on the string of words that had stolen my slumber. These are the consequences of COVID-19 in my life and in my heart while on this crisis journey. I sharpened meanings and massaged connotations as I shaped and sanded these words to follow the ebbs and flows modeled in the wood. Chaos controlled and shifted into soothing beauty. Here's this poem. Unseated, sequestered, unseen, beautiful, grieved, ignored, resilient, unheard, unasked, anxious, stretched, promised, battered, solitudinal, distraught, sharpened, buffeted, undecided, distressed, reforged, lamented, immobile, recollected, strengthened, refocused, unbroken.